The words that Cyrita spoke hit me very deeply because I spent about 10 years in addiction to crack. So I have kids that were on the other side of that. I put myself in their shoes for a second while she was speaking to understand the impact of my choices when I was in the middle of addiction. One of the turning points for me after a prison sentence and lots of jail sentences and me just being very, very hard-headed, one of the turning points for me was learning about this little study that they did back in the 70s called Rat Park. Maybe some of you have heard of, where they put a mouse inside of a cage and then they give it, a little bit of water, and then they have another one that's cocaine or heroin or whatever. And the mouse or the rat would always choose the heroin or the cocaine because it's in a box with nothing else. Nothing. It's isolated with only two choices. Then another researcher came along and said, I want to do something different. I want to look at this from another angle. So he built this huge park. He had all of these fun things to do for rats, and there was community. He had hundreds of rats in this area, right? And he had all of this stuff for the rats to do and play, and they could go do what rats do all together. And the funny thing is that they still kept the heroin or the cocaine option in there. And guess what? They didn't go for it. Why do you think that is? Addiction feeds on isolation. Recovery feeds on community. And what you guys are doing up here today is you're saying we are the community, right? We are the voice for the new community. And it was that moment where I realized that my addiction would only be solved if I was involving other people in the community. I started being more transparent. I started being more accountable to people. Next thing you know, doors start opening. And now my wife and I run a 7-day-a-week addiction recovery center in Greenville, Michigan. We took a tiny, rundown, closed church that had nobody in it for 3 years in a tiny little rural town in Montcalm County. And now we have 250 plus people a week coming through there for services and support. And the best part is about a quarter of them don't even have an addiction issue. They're not dealing with any kind of substance use disorder. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they show up? Community, right? It's that community. And so I just implore you today, if you're not part of a community, if you're not part of something like that, it's all around you. And there's people waiting to plug you in. And the healing that's on the other side of that journey, I can only tell you, I've seen it over the last year and a half. I've seen it be transformational for people to add in a community-based layer of recovery. It's not taking away anything from meetings. We do a lot of meetings at our center. We have meetings at noon and 6 p.m. every single day. But it's the stuff that happens outside of the meetings. Tonight, I'm taking a group of probably 30 people out roller skating. Am I good at roller skating? No, absolutely not. I'm hoping I don't fall and break something. But it's the community. It's the rooting people on, cheering people on, just having some fun with people. Last week, we went out bowling with a group of about 15 or 20 people on a Tuesday afternoon. Why? Because people get bored sometimes. And it's that community layer that gives them that accountability, that connection, and that we have seen just be so transformational. So I just encourage you today, no matter where you're at on the spectrum, addiction issue or not, community is where it's at. When I was at the Black Men's Brain Health Conference back in February, one of the things that they said it was almost not the cure, but one of the things that I took from Alzheimer's is community. Adding in that layer of community for people is so transformational to even that. So I took that away thinking, man, it's not only good for addiction issues, it can also be good for all of these other brain health issues. having that layer of community. So I just encourage you today, connect with people. We are not meant to do this journey alone. We are not meant to do this alone, and there's people all around you who are waiting to connect with you. Thank you so much for the time.